Father. Our first panelist is our young lawyer. Ilang tulog kaya ang lamang niya natin sa kanya?
Hindi, mamaya, pag nakatayo siya, tatabihan ko.
Sige.
And you please tell us if we both are in the same age level. Okay?
Sige po. Mula po sa legal world, for his legal point of view, kapiling nga po natin si Attorney Joel Arzaga. Okay, go ahead please.
Thank you.
Magka-age bracket
my
ba?
father.
Yes or no? Yes. Sino mas matanda? Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Angelique. Good afternoon,
Tamo,
everyone.
Angelique lang, hindi ate or tita ha. Go ahead, attorney.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joel Arzaga, and it's an honor to speak before you this afternoon. I am from the Alliance for the Family Foundation Incorporated Philippines, or ALFI, and ALFI is a group that endeavors to be at the forefront of battles for the protection of values that we hold dear. For example, our right to life, religious freedom, and the sanctity of marriage and the Filipino family. And today, we are engaged in a battle for the recognition of our human nature, okay, of who we are and how we were created by our God. So right now, there is this debate in Congress about the SOGIE Bill. I'm sure you've heard about this, and some of you might be wondering, what is the SOGIE Bill all about? And more importantly, what does it mean for us, Filipino Catholics, and advocates for family and life? You know, just last September, kami po sa ALFI, we were invited to attend the deliberations on the SOGIE Bill in the Senate. And we were asked to deliver our position paper. And then just last Tuesday, we were asked to attend the deliberations on the SOGIE Bill or its counterpart bill in the House of Representatives of the Philippines. So, let's go straight to the topic. What is the SOGIE Bill? SOGIE stands for Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity and Expression Bill. Essentially, this is a proposed law that aims to prevent and to stop certain practices that LGBT members of the community in the Philippines face. Essentially, there are three that they want to stop, okay, that they want to prevent. First, they are decrying the violence that is committed against members of the LGBT community. This violence may be done through physical harm, emotional or psychological even harm that is inflicted on them simply because of the fact that they are LGBT. Okay, that's number one. Second, they decry the discrimination that they face in different sectors in society. Okay, they say that because of the fact that they are LGBT, they are treated less favorably than the other members of society. And then, thirdly, they say that there's inequality in society for members of the LGBT community because they enjoy less rights as the other members of Philippine society. Now, if we look at these legislative objectives of the SOGIE Bill, they appear harmless, if not noble even, right? Because really, any form of undue discrimination, violence, or inequality is reprehensible and is even contrary to what our Constitution mandates, which is the recognition of human dignity and the guaranteeing of full respect for human rights. Okay? However, a close scrutiny, a study of the bill, would reveal that it is not just about a fight against undue discrimination, violence, or inequality. Okay? Because if that is the only intent of the bill, we already have ample laws that provide for criminal and civil liability for forms of undue discrimination, inequality, and violence. So, what then is the real agenda of the SOGIE Bill, which I think is something that should be a cause for concern for all of us, particularly for us who care for the Filipino family, okay? If we study the bill, this is essentially what they want to achieve, that we accept and that we adopt in the Philippines the idea that a person may freely choose and change his or her sexual identity and its corresponding gender expression. Okay? And that such choice of gender identity should be binding on the whole world and must therefore be accepted and respected by the state. And all persons who do not agree with their choice may face liability under the SOGIE Bill. So this is regardless of what we have held as true since time immemorial, that sex is dictated by one's biological makeup. How does the SOGIE Bill intend to achieve this? In the SOGIE Bill, they define discrimination as to include any distinction or exclusion on the basis of biological sex. And also in the SOGIE Bill, there are certain discriminatory practices that if committed, okay, based on, and if it's based on one's biological sex, the person may face criminal or civil liability under the law. Okay, so in the SOGIE Bill, this intent of the SOGIE Bill is quite problematic. Why? Because our society, there are sectors in our society that have policies precisely grounded on the distinction between man and woman. For example, okay, sex-specific educational institutions like this school, St. Scholastica. In the SOGIE Bill, if we allow what the SOGIE Bills aim to be adopted in the Philippine society, a man can identify as a woman, a biological woman can identify as a man, and such choice is binding on the state, must be upheld by the state, and must be accepted by all sectors of society. So, in terms of educational institutions, can a boy who identifies as a girl now apply for admission in St. Scholastica School? It appears that in the SOGIE Bill, the answer is yes, because the SOGIE Bill penalizes the act of refusing admission to an educational institution on the basis of one's sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. Another aspect, sex-specific establishments and facilities. Can a man, biological man, who identifies as a woman, can he now freely enter the washroom of the women, the breastfeeding room of the women, locker rooms, and dormitories, convents? The answer, it appears, is yes, because the SOGIE Bill penalizes the act of refusing admission and the use of these facilities on the basis of one's sexual identity, gender orientation, and expression. Okay? So there are other aspects, like, for example, sex-specific contact sports, sex-specific associations, like fraternities, sororities. What about the priesthood? Sex-specific professions. There are professions that are specific to, for example, the male, because it's reserved for certain ecclesiastical function. So you see, the persons who are in charge of implementing these policies will now be forced to change their policies in order to avoid liability under the SOGIE Bill, all in violation of their academic freedom, religious freedom, property rights, freedom of association, all equally guaranteed and recognized by our 1987 Constitution. Now, because I have limited time, I'd like just to highlight a number of other provisions in the SOGIE Bill which I find to be problematic. One is a provision in the SOGIE Bill that may allow for same-sex marriage. In the SOGIE Bill, if a government office refuses the issuance of a permit or a license on the basis of one's sex, then that government office or the person who refused that is liable under the SOGIE Bill. Now, the question is this: does this include marriage licenses? And given the fact that in the family code, marriage is defined to be between a man and a woman, can a biological man who identifies as a woman now get married to another biological man in disregard of what our family code provides with regard to marriage? Second, and dear parents, please pay attention to this. Did you know that in the SOGIE Bill, parents are now prohibited from talking to their children or prohibiting their children from expressing or exhibiting their gender identity or gender expression. Imagine, the state does not want you to touch on that topic when talking about it with your children. What does this do to your parental authority, your primary right and duty to rear the youth, which our Constitution guarantees for you? And lastly, which I find very problematic also, the SOGIE Bill promotes and mandates a state-sponsored information dissemination campaign on this idea of gender. It's a state-sponsored promotion of a particular ideology that gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, that all of these are fluid, subjective, and are based solely on a person's feelings or desires. And this promotion will be done in all educational institutions, government offices, and even private entities. So, what can we do as advocates for family and life? I think it's important that we know the issues and then that we get involved. You see, in the hearings that we have attended, the pro-lifers, advocates for family and life are always outnumbered. And we hope to get more people to come and battle with us. Finally, let's take care of the family, particularly giving attention to the formation that we give to our young people, and to your children. Mindful that only by loving them well and loving them in the genuine, authentic sense of what love is, will we be able to inculcate in them a desire for equality, okay, in the vision of how God wants equality to be. Maraming salamat po.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Attorney Joel. I got alarmed. Nakakatakot, ano? All the while we thought, okay lang to. But now, listening to Attorney Joel, very alarming. Wow. Very alarming. Imagine, yung sexual orientation, sa sexual orientation pa lang, meron na Ate Anjik na heterosexual, may homosexual, may bisexual, may pansexual.
Yes, kasi humaba na yung mga letra. Dati L, tapos G, B, T, Q, I, A, may plus pa.
Okay.
Because nag-i-evolve yung identification.
Sa gender identity naman,
Yes.
pinag-uusapan dito yung transgender, cisgender, and many others. And what really alarmed me, ako bilang isang teacher, sa basic ed, ang mga bata, they are looking for role models. Meron silang tinatawag na stage, identity search, no? Searching for the identity. And ano ang mangyayari? For example, Attorney Joel, may mag-apply sa school. Sasabihin ko sa kanya, pwede ba ako magtanong? I would like to know your gender preference. Normally naman, sabihin nila, Father, I am male. Tapos bigla akong biruin. Talaga? Hindi obvious, ha? Pwede ko ba yung gawin?
Pwede mo bang biruin? Pwede ka bang magtanong? Is that going to be against the law kung matuloy ang
Yes,
SOGIE Bill?
Father and Angelique, actually, that's one of the other prohibitions in the SOGIE Bill. A person can now not be inquired into as regards his sexual identity, gender identity, gender expression. So isa yan sa mga ipinagbabawal na acts under the SOGIE Bill.
Yes. Isa pa sa kinabahala ko dun sa pagsasalaysay po ninyo, yung mawawalan ng karapatan ang mga magulang na hubugin yung kanilang mga anak. And isn't that a violation of the new family code or something in the law that
Yes.
also upholds and respects the family
Tama
as a
po yun.
basic institution of
Yes,
society?
Angelique. Actually, not just the family code, but our Constitution itself, the highest law of the land. Sa ating pong saligang batas, nakasaad po doon malinaw that the primary right and duty to rear the youth, meaning to form the children, belongs to the parents. And that should not be touched by the state. If at all, the state's involvement is merely secondary. If in cases that the parents are unable to care for their children, that's the only time that the state steps in. But it is not for the state to substitute its authority to form the children. Lalo na po, Angelique and Father, in a matter as delicate as sexual identity, gender orientation. Kasi po, ito po, we cannot help but infuse here our religious beliefs, our values as a family, and we don't want to entrust this to the state because the formation of the children is quite crucial. And that's why a lot of leeway is given to the parents in this matter.
Yes. At syempre, Attorney Joel, no? The teachers also, we act as loco parentis. Kaya ako bilang nagtatrabaho sa eskwelahan, gusto kong piliin yung talagang maayos. When I say maayos, they would really act as parents. That's our role also, and that is recognized by the state. Na ang mga teacher, we act in loco parentis, in place of the parents. So I should really choose who will be the one to take good care of the students. When this law will be passed, then definitely wala akong choice, tanggapin lahat.
May choice, Father, ngunit maaari po kayong maharap sa mga penalties, like imprisonment or fines. Because, so, may choice naman, Father, pero yun nga lang, may kaakibat na parusa.
Attorney, mukhang mapapasubo ako dyan sa mga choice na yan, ha?
May isa pa akong itatanong, Father. Kanina while we were having our get-together sa lunchtime, may nabanggit ikaw, Father, na may estudyante, lalaki, pero nagbabago na yung hugis niya.
Yes.
Bata pa siya. And apparently, bumibilog na yung kanyang face, tapos mahaba yung kanyang hair. Tapos yung features niya nagiging babae na, no? And I think, would you like to talk about this?
I already made a commitment to love all the children that study in all the Catholic schools. Palagi ko sila pag nakakasalubong, yakap, Father. Para akong Jollibee. One time ito, pag yakap niya sa akin, uy, bakit ganyan ang itsura mo? Sabi niya, Father, my mama knows this. Anong mama knows this? Yung pala, may tinitake siya. Tapos, the following week, I got a call from the parents. Sabi sa akin, Father, nagsabi yung anak ko, nakausap na daw po kayo. Baka naman, Father, pwedeng payagan na po siya, magdamit po. Sabi ko, hep. Punta po kayo, mag-usap po tayo. No? So, we are a Catholic school. We embrace the Catholic faith. At ito yung medyo mga magulang. Alam ko, nangangarap kayo, yung mga mag-asawa, di ba? Ang gusto kong unang anak ay... Dali lang. Ang gusto kong unang panganay na anak ay... Ganun palagi yan eh. Nangyayari ba yon na pag ang gusto nyo, unang anak na lalaki, ano naging anak nyo? Babae. Hoy, ang ibig lang sabihin ito, life is a gift. It comes from God. By all means, it is not a matter of personal choice. Who are you?
Okay.
Sabihin sa katabi niyo, who are you? Sabihin niyo. Sabihin niyo, who are you?
Who are you?
I am a servant of God.
Ayan. Okay, now going back to that kwento of yours, ang tanong ko ay ganito. Doon sa kasong yon, yung nanay pumayag.
Correct.
Okay, in the event na yung bata, ginusto niya, walang parental consent, and does it anyway, under the law of the SOGIE Bill, okay lang yun.
Okay lang po yun.
Hindi mapipenalize
Hindi.
yung bata at,
Yes.
at the parent can do nothing about it.
Tama po yun. Dahil isang act of discrimination daw po, yung pagpigil sa isang bata na i-exhibit yung kanyang napiling gender identity or gender expression.
Ang ibig niya naman,
Opo.
Attorney Joel,
Yes, Father.
ano naman ang mangyayari sa akin yan?
Ayun po, Father. So, kung pinigilan ninyo, magmumulta lang naman kay Father ng 250,000 pesos
Aray ko po.
to 500,000 pesos at kulong ng 6 na taon, Father.
Father, magkikita ba tayo sa kulungan? O tayong lahat po ba magkikita sa kulungan? Okay.
Grabe, ano?
Sige.
I thank Atty. Joel.
Thank you, Father.
And nabanggit Atty. Joel, yung bill daw na ito, na SOGIE Bill or SOGIE, how do you call it?
SOGIE.
SOGIE. But
Actually, it's interchangeable kasi
Okay.
yan eh.
ito daw ay create because of the crime being done to the community of the LGBT, discrimination being done to our brothers and sisters in the LGBT group, and then inequality. Tingnan natin kung totoo ito.